going over what you can do if you have no savings. So if you're in this space where you have no savings, you don't have any backup money in the bank, keep watching. I'll be sharing some key tips on actions you can take to help you start to ramp up your savings. I'm also going to be sharing how you can get access to our budgeting and debt prioritization worksheets, which can help you as you work on creating your savings plan. So be sure to stay tuned to the end of this video. So having no savings can be stressful. It can also be scary, especially if you have a major financial obligation coming up or if an unplanned life situation happens. No savings in the bank, no money in the bank can be very scary. And there are a number of reasons why people may not have any savings. It could be that you've experienced a health setback. It could have been another type of life or financial setback, or it could have been from money mistakes or poor financial decisions. However, now that you're in this space, it's important to just take the lessons that you can from whatever situation you're coming out of, and then just let go of any judgment, resentment, shame, or whatever you're feeling towards yourself about why you're in this position. It's okay. Sometimes life happens and we find ourselves in a space where we need to rebuild, and that is perfectly fine, right? But it's all about making sure that you get your head in the game. You set the intention that you're going to do what it takes to go from that space of no savings to now having money in the bank. And so once you have set that intention, you've taken whatever lessons that you can, you have assessed the situation that caused you to come into this space where you have no savings, there's some key things you can be doing. The first thing you want to do is to know where you stand. And this means calculating your net worth. And I know this is not something that a lot of people like to do, because looking at net worth, especially if you have a lot of debt and no savings, basically means that when you run those numbers, you're going to be in the negative, right? However, it's like you trying to get to a destination without telling your car navigation where you are now. You have to be able to tell the navigation where you currently are so that it can map out the plan for you to get to your end destination. And that same approach applies to your finances. You have to determine where you are now, right? What do your finances look like now? What do you owe? What do you own? Your assets versus your liabilities. And you can use that as your foundational point to create your plan for your savings and how you want to approach ramping up your savings. So knowing where you stand is really important. The second thing you want to do is assess your lifestyle. Are you overextended? Is lifestyle creep playing a factor here? Do you need to downsize? A lot of times people will find that as their income has increased, so have their expenses. They got the better car, they got the nicer apartment, they moved to the more expensive neighborhood, they're taking the more expensive vacations, and then they find themselves in this space where they're spending every single penny they earn and they have no savings, right? Where are you with your lifestyle? And are there any areas where you can cut back, right? Can you get a cheaper apartment? Can you downsize your car? Are there things in your home that you can sell, in your closet, in your kitchen, to get rid of, to make extra money that you can put towards your savings or towards paying down your debt? It's really important to assess your lifestyle so you know what areas have room for improvement so that you can then begin to ramp up your savings. The third thing you want to do is set clear goals. How much do you need to save in your emergency fund, in your sinking fund, in your short-term goal fund? What do you need that money for, and by when? Having those goals, having those clear goals will give you direction, will give you a path as to what you need to focus to according to a specific timeline. This way you know exactly how much time you need to save, and you can break down those numbers into how much you need to put aside every single paycheck in order to meet your now new savings goals. Next, you want to create a budget, and your budget is you telling your money what to do. And essentially, you want to build your savings, ramping up your savings, your emergency fund, sinking fund, any goals you're saving for, into your budget. And you want to make it a line item, a specific line item, saving for emergencies, saving for sinking fund, saving for XYZ, and have that as a fixed line item in your budget so that every time you get your paycheck and you start to allocate your money, you automatically know that you're going to be putting some of it towards your savings goals. Number 5, I just mentioned, however, I'm going to call it out as its own specific step, which is to create your emergency fund. The last thing you want to have to do is to leverage debt, to take on even more debt to get out of a difficult financial situation or to even pay your day-to-day bills. And so you definitely want to start building your emergency fund. And you can start with a basic emergency fund of $1,000. $1,000 can cover the most basic emergencies, from buying new tires to getting a home repair to buying a plane ticket. This can cover most of those basic emergencies. And so create a plan, build it into your budget for that first $1,000 so that you have some savings set aside, so that when life's unexpected situations happen, you don't have to rely on your credit card and rack up more debt. Instead, you can rely on your emergency fund as your backup plan. Tip number 6 is you want to make sure you have a plan to pay off your debt. And so again, you want to build your debt repayments into your budget and have an amount you're allocating towards those bills every single month. If possible, you want to try to pay more than the minimum towards your debt and aggressively focus on getting rid of that debt so that you can free up that money that you're putting towards your debt to now put towards your savings. And the reason why you want to have a focus on paying off your debt is because debt compounds, right? And it compounds based on your interest rate. And that means over time, if you're only making minimum payments, your balance can actually be growing. And so it's important that you have this plan in place to pay off your debt, to free up that money to put towards your savings goals. And so a common question I get asked very often is, can I save and pay off debt at the same time? Well, the answer to that is yes, but you have to do it strategically. The first part of it is getting an emergency fund in place, getting that $1,000 in place, right? Having that in your budget so you start to put money aside every single month until you get to that $1,000. So that's savings. That's your first savings category. Your second savings category would be saving for retirement. So if your employer offers you a free match, I would definitely contribute enough to take that entire match. That's you putting money aside, because at the end of the day, when it comes to your retirement, no one else is going to create a plan for you. So you want to have that in place. So that's your second savings category. If your employer doesn't have a match, you can decide to contribute something like 5% of your income before taxes or to an IRA, so that you're just putting something small aside. So you have those two savings categories, your emergency fund and then your retirement savings. And then you want to shift your focus on aggressively paying down your debt. And like I said, paying down more than the minimum. This is one way in which you can save and pay debt at the same time. And finally, it's okay to start small. And so you want to build up the habit and consistency of saving money. If you have $5 to save this week, save it this week and then next week and the following week. Habit and consistency are key to building up your savings. As you make saving money a consistent part of your life, it will get easier for you to save as you increase your income, as you start to think about ways to earn more money. And so even if you have to start small, it is okay. A lot of people write off savings because they feel like they're not earning enough money, or they have so many bills they can't afford to save anything. But if you can find a couple dollars here and there every time you get paid or every time you earn money, you can start saving something. Savings grows from small amounts over time. It grows from consistent actions taken over time. And so don't discredit saving small. It's okay if all you can do is save small. What's really important is you start and you save something. I would also encourage you to get creative, right? If you have no savings, you want to start putting some money into your savings account as soon as you can. So take a look around your house, your closet, your kitchen, electronics. What can you offload quickly? What can you sell to get some extra money to put into your savings account? That's one way you can generate some extra income to ramp up your savings. So be sure to head on over to Clever Wealth Finance to get our budgeting and debt prioritization worksheets to help you create your own savings plans. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I will talk to you soon.
Hi, I'm Tony Robbins, and you're watching Behind the Brand.
Hi, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with business and life strategist, #1 New York Times bestseller, and philanthropist, Tony Robbins. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian.
Maybe look into this camera and give entrepreneurs, small business people, whatever, sort of your best advice for success. First maybe define this is what we should be focused on. This is the definition of success, and maybe here are some tips how to get there.
People ask me all the time, what is success? And it's so individual. I would never tell somebody else what success is. I would say when most people are pursuing success, I think what they're really pursuing is not a word. They're pursuing a greater quality of life. And in order to have an extraordinary quality of life, it's got to be life on your terms. And, some people's idea of an extraordinary life is, writing beautiful poetry or having a garden. Some people's idea is building a billion-dollar company. Some people is 3.2 perfect children. I don't know what the 2 comes from, 0.2, but they do. Everyone has a different idea. So my approach to helping entrepreneurs, business people, or anyone is to say, you got to figure out what is an extraordinary life for you. What would that look like today? Not 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but today, the way you look at life alive instead of an old story. And then there's 2 skills you got to master. The first one is the science of achievement. And it's a science. And I spent 4 years interviewing these people, and I interviewed the smartest financial people in the world, and I picked no one from the Lucky Sperm Club. Nobody that inherited it. They all started with nothing, became multi-billionaires. And what you learn is they do it different ways, but there's some universal patterns, and success leaves clues. If you apply the same results, it's a recipe. It'll work for you too. I've done it, other people have done it. Same thing's true with your body. We're all biochemically unique, but there's certain fundamentals that are universal. There are laws, there's a science. If you violate them, you're gonna have low energy disease. If you align with them, you're gonna have high energy. So there's a science to achievement. But the second master lesson for an extraordinary life, I believe, is even more important. Because I've dealt with so many achievers that are still miserable. They got everything. They got their Academy Award, they got their Golden Globe, they got, they took their company public, they got $1 billion net worth, and they're miserable. So to me, that's insane. And the reason is they missed the second master lesson of life, which I call the art of fulfillment. Art, it's not science. Because what's going to fulfill you is different than me or this gentleman here. I'm sorry, I don't know the cameraman's first name, but whoever it is that was with you. It's like, if you want to know what the universe or God loves, go to the forest. It's diversity. It's not the same thing. And when you look at, maybe a good example is if you go to an art show. You ever gone to an art show in LA or New York, like a high-end art show, and you walk in and you look at the painting and go, you're joking, right? This is not art, right? How much is it? And the guy goes, $10 million. You gotta be nuts. I'll give you an example. Steve Wynn, who owns the Wynn Hotels, as again, a good friend of mine, called me up on his birthday a few years ago. And he says, Tony, come over to my house. He goes, my birthday. I said, I know, I'm looking forward to seeing you. He goes, no, you gotta see something. He said, I have coveted this painting for years, and I just outbid everybody. I spent $80 million for this picture. I was like, painting. And I said, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. So I'm picturing, I don't know, some Renaissance thing. And I show up, and it's a Rothko. Do you know what a Rothko is?
No.
It's an orange and red square, a big, giant orange and red square. And it was $80 million. And I said, Steve, I said, give me $100 worth of paint in an hour. I can pull the shit off. I can promise you. And he laughed. He goes, no, you don't know the story. And here's what's so cool. He finds $80 million of the value there because he must be 100 times more sophisticated than I am. Because I'm going, it's an orange and red square, right? The beauty of life is our diversity. If you want to see the ultimate failure in life, it's success without fulfillment. That's the ultimate failure. The art of fulfillment, I think, is the more important of the two. So you asked me to look in the camera and talk to these entrepreneurs and say, what's the most important key to success? I think it's hunger. It's not getting satisfied. If you look at a Mark Benioff at Salesforce, if you look at Richard Branson's friend of mine, or you look at anyone you respect who's achieved at the highest level, intelligence is an incredibly important distinction and a valuable thing to have in life. But I always tell people, you can find so many intelligent people that can't fight their way out of a paper bag. What matters is hunger. A hunger that doesn't go away, a hunger to learn, a hunger to grow, a hunger to serve, a hunger to give, a hunger to create breakthroughs. Most people are hungry till they make a certain amount of money and then they get comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not about the money. It's not about the business. It's about your growth. Because every one of us either grows or dies. People ask me all the time, what does it take to be happy? I say one word, progress. Progress equals happiness, because achieving a goal feels good for how long? A week, a month, 3 months, and then there needs to be something else. And the reason for something else is because you got to grow. And I think if you can decide that success is life on your terms, but it's also a meaningful life where you found something you care about more than yourself that you want to serve, whether it's your family or a community or a mission or your company, then you're blessed. And success is that experience of not only achievement, but fulfillment. And it can't be achieved unless you're growing and unless you're giving in ways that you're not positioning the giving. It's not what other people say, it's what you know in your soul. And I think if you can find those things inside yourself, they're not easy, but they're worth it. You'll have a life that will look like a dream to other people, and they'll all think you're lucky because we're all rewarded in public for what we've practiced continuously in private.
Hey everyone, this is Bola. I'm the founder and CEO of Clever Girl Finance, and welcome to Clever Girl Finance TV. So in this video, I'm going to be going over what you can do if you have no savings. So if you're in this space where you have no savings, you don't have any